And I am your host of this weekly interview show called Legacy Leaders Live. And this is a time when we take 20-25 minutes to talk to a guest each week that bring us stories of impact, stories of purpose, stories of prosperity. The goal is to encourage all of us to find ways to live our legacy now and not just work really hard to leave a legacy when we die. That's why it's called Legacy Leaders Live. They're leading their legacy. So today's guest, we met here on LinkedIn. I might have even been 2 years ago. We ran in some of the same circles and some of our mentorship and coaching that we were doing here on LinkedIn. Her name is Lisa McPhee, and she hails from Toronto area in Canada. And she has a business called Lisa McPhee Coaching Academy that she's been running since 2019. Notice that was before the pandemic that she went into the online coaching business, unlike so many millions of others. She works with executives and entrepreneurs who want to develop an online coaching business. And so she teaches them how to launch, build, and scale. So I'm going to let her tell you more about what she does. I'm going to bring on Lisa. Hi, my friend.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
We're at completely opposite ends of the continent because I'm in Central California and you're over there up in Eastern Canada.
Yep. And it's pretty snowy here. I'm not going to lie.
And yet for the last couple of years, we've been supporting each other, mentoring each other, communicating, helping each other. You got to love the internet, right?
I love it. And I love how women in particular, I'm sure men do this too, but that's not my world. I love how women entrepreneurs really support each other and elevate each other. And yeah, I'm here for it.
Awesome. Well, as you know, this is the Legacy Leaders Live show. So I always like to start off by asking you, what does living a legacy mean to you, or what's it look like in your life?
Well, that is such a great question. I will tell you that I was not always living my legacy. And maybe that's why I really choose to now for a very long time. Well, my entire career, up until 2019, I worked in corporate America. I worked most recently as a management consultant, and I took the traditional path. I grew up in a very rural area in Eastern Canada, a fishing village. Actually, there's only 400 people. And my biggest goal in life was to move to the city and work downtown and have an office in a high rise, and I did all that. And I thought that was living the life, until I had something very traumatic happen to me, and which I'm happy to share later. And that was in 2019. And I decided that I didn't want to live that life anymore. I decided, and it was a great life. It really looked amazing, but I really looked internally to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And at that time, I just knew that I wanted to build something that was mine, right? And it's interesting. I love that your show is called Legacy Leaders Live, because that's the question that I asked myself. What is my legacy going to be? Because at the time I was very single. I had given up my entire life for my career, and I didn't have kids. I didn't have a partner. And I just felt like, is this it? Is this my legacy? Just working for someone else. And so I decided that I wanted to build something of my own and build a coaching business. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 5-6 years, since 2019. We'll talk about the timing too later. And so what that looks like for me now is really just, I know this sounds like such a cliche, but really just living my best life and kind of doing what I want to do and not what's expected of me, and not caring. And I will say that the journey to get to the not caring part it was bumpy. It was bumpy. Yeah.
Well, do you mind sharing with our viewers? I happen to know some of the amazing things that have happened in your life since you've chosen this path on a personal nature with your family.
Yeah. Oh, we bonded over that because you shared your adoption story. Yeah. So in 2019, I started my business, and that is when I was 49, was very aware I was turning 50. And And Laurel, that was the catalyst. The catalyst was I'm turning 50. And I have no kids. I'm not married. I mean, I had a beautiful home. I had a cute dog. I had all of the things. I traveled the world. My life was, far from boring, but I really just felt like it was missing something. And I started my business. I started my personal development journey. I turned 50. I had the best party. Then COVID. Then it was COVID. I really do feel fortunate because I got to have the 50th birthday party I wanted. I remember saying to my friends, I've never had a wedding, and my birthday party is going to be the wedding I never had, which was super fun. And then in 2021, so I'd been on my personal development journey for 2 years and really, really learned how to connect to myself and kind of figure myself out. And I was feeling pretty good with myself finally. And that's when I met the love of my life. My girlfriends had, I know everyone loves a good love story, right? Especially since Valentine's Day just ended. My girlfriends.
I love a story that happens in your 50s. That just touches my heart. Once you finally surrender to who you are and what you're supposed to be doing, all the other pieces come into play.
Yeah, and I will tell you, and I tell this story to anyone who will listen, I would not have met him if I wasn't on my personal development journey. I would not, I might have met him, but I would have dismissed it. I would have found something wrong with him. I mean, he's amazing, but I would have sabotaged it. I know I would have, because I was so disconnected from myself at that time that I was blissfully unaware that I had any issues. I thought I was great. I was living in oblivion. Yeah, so we met. My girlfriends had, it was during COVID, and we used to hang out at the park on Tuesdays, and they were talking about dating and online dating and how they love dating online during COVID because they got to go for walks. And I remember thinking that I can talk to anyone. I don't want to do that. And I went home, I created a profile, and he was literally my first match. And we had our first date on Mother's Day in 2021, and we've been together ever since.
And he brings family that you've adopted
as
well.
2 kids. Now I have 2 kids. I mean, they're my stepkids, but I call them my kids because I've never birthed kids. I've never had kids, raised kids until they came into my life. And it's been such a blessing, but also so amazing because they really accepted me. Their mom had already been remarried, so they had no wanting for their parents to get back together. And so they were really very welcoming. And I feel very lucky that I get to be a part of their life, and I get to raise them as kind of young adults, which I think is much easier.
Well, tell me a little bit about your business today and exactly what it is you're doing. And probably more important than the what is the why are you doing it?
Okay. Well, I'm a business launch strategist. So I help executives and entrepreneurs launch, build, and scale a profitable business. I think the word profitable is very important, and the word scalable is very important, because
without losing themselves in the process. Because
otherwise you're just giving up time for money. You're trading one hell for another. And how I know about this is because that's exactly what I did. My first business that I built I was very out of alignment. I didn't know what that meant. Because I came from corporate, I knew how to build a business and run a business. I knew the business side of it, but I didn't know the connect to yourself side of it. I didn't get that at all until I was 2 years in and really feeling like I was just beating my head against the wall because some of the processes and the things that I had going on were very misaligned to me and my values, which is why I always start with my values now. Always start with my values. And I think that if you're building a business and it doesn't start with your values need to be your North Star. And for me, one of my core values is fun. And so I just decided I'm not doing anything unless it's fun, because when things are fun for me, they're fun for others, and people have a good time, and it's easy. And life, it's like we're told when we're children that we can be anything we want and do anything we want. And I don't know how old we are when some switch flips telling us that we don't get to do that anymore. You can have everything when you're young. You can have it all. And then when you get older, you're told you can have everything, but not all at the same time. And I just don't think that's a belief that serves us, you know? And I truly believe. So for me, my why is I believe that when women, so I work with women specifically, and it is my belief, I believe with all my heart, that when you and I talked about this too, that when women make money, they do good things with it.
Mhm.
And my goal and purpose and like being in life is to get more money in the hands of more women so that they can do more things that are great and have a bigger impact in the world, because I truly believe that's what we all want. And I truly believe that that's how we're going to change things.
Mhm. That's amazing. So how do you start working with somebody? Give me an example of a person that might make that first phone call to you. What
Oh,
is
sure.
their situation typically like, or what are they looking for? Or what do they
Sure.
think
Well,
they're looking for?
okay. So I'll specifically give you two examples of just two of my clients right now.
Mhm.
It's so easy because I literally just got off the phone with them. Okay. So one, she's an entrepreneur. She is a very successful businesswoman. She built and sold, like built and successfully exited two businesses, brick and mortar businesses. Started an online business a year and a half ago. She's ready to scale. She's been doing coaching for the past year and a half, but it's been one-on-one only. She wants to scale and knows that she can't keep trading time for money, right? So she reached out to me because she wants to scale her business. I help people create and develop group coaching programs that you can evergreen. Once the program is built, then you show up for your 3-4 hours a week, and everything kind of just runs itself, and you can outsource the team and that sort of thing. So that's one client. The other client, she's a very successful executive. She's worked in financial services her whole life. And she is also in her 50s. I mean, most of my clients are in their 50s. First client was in her 60s, actually. Like, I think she's 68. She's very proud of her age. I also think it's awesome that a 68-year-old woman is starting an online business. That's freaking amazing. You're my kind of girl, you know? So my executive client, she wanted to get out of corporate and leverage all of her corporate experience to build an online coaching. She wasn't sure, coaching or consulting business. So my zone of genius is really seeing the genius in others. And because I come from that corporate world, when people are in that corporate world and they move over to coaching, they tend to think that, they don't want to start at the bottom, but they don't necessarily know how to package their zone of genius. And my zone of genius is seeing the genius in you so you can find it in yourself.
So you're helping develop their offer, package their offer, or their group of offers if they have a one-on-one level, which would be higher than like a group coaching level, which is on demand. You work with them for whatever their goals are.
Yeah.
Right? So the different levels.
Yeah. So I have I have a signature program. It's 12 weeks, and they come in, and the first thing we do is help them figure out what their values are, because most people, your values are your North Star. And actually, I'll share with your audience a download I have if people are interested in doing the values exercise to really identify what your core values are. So we start with
love that.
Yeah. So we start with their core values, and from there, because your values are your North Star, you know, your values are your North Star. You're making decisions. Does that align with my values? Because we're always going to have opportunities coming to us, especially when we start to become open to them, right? And so I think it's important to know what your values are, so that when you're making a decision, does it align with my values? And if it aligns with your values and it sounds fun, well, for me, it's fun, then it's a yes. It's hell yes, right? Otherwise, no. And sometimes it's hard to say no to opportunities when you're looking for opportunities. But I think particularly when you get in your 50s, in your 60s, it's time to really live your life the way you want. So yeah, so we do that. And then I help them create a lead magnet, which is an authority video. And then that authority video leads to the sale of their signature offer. Their signature offer is a group program, a high ticket group program offer that they package up for usually between $5,000 and $10,000.
So you mentioned that timing was key, something between 2019 and now, and you said, I'll talk about that later. What happened between 2019 and now that's been impactful for you?
What happened between 2019 and now? Now I can't remember exactly. I know I said something, but I don't know what.
You also said that something tragic had happened in your life that caused the pivot.
Yeah. Okay,
so it was about that timing.
Yeah. So in 2019, when I took myself on a trip. It was called Transformation Tulum. The only person I knew online was this coach. She was a health and wellness coach. And I naively thought that I was going to go to Tulum for 7 glorious days and eat healthy and work out and have fun. We did do that. And she also coached us and had all of these amazing events. When I landed in Tulum, my phone buzzed and it was my mother. It's so hard. I've told this story so many times and it still like makes me so sad. It was my mother telling me that my 39-year-old cousin had passed away. And he and I were very close and he was very sick, but he left behind an 8-year-old daughter. And he was the sole parent to this little girl. And that really shook me. Right. And in that moment, I didn't even know what to do because I literally just landed. Do I get back on a plane and go back to Nova Scotia, which by the way, would have taken me 2 days to get home? Or do I get in this car that's taking me to paradise? Can you imagine how conflicted? I just felt so conflicted. I decided to stay and I stayed on the trip. I did go home later, but I went on the trip and I think it really just gave me an opportunity. It's kind of like the shake I needed. I know this sounds so terrible. Please don't wait for somebody to die to start living your life. But it really made me evaluate, is this how I wanted to be living my life? Because I was living my life on autopilot. And here's the thing, Laurel, when people tell these stories, my life wasn't bad. I wasn't working in a toxic environment. I had a very good life. And I think that oftentimes it's even worse because you want to stay. There's no reason to leave except it's not the life you're meant to live. And I've always known since I was a child, I've always believed that I was meant to do big things. And sometime around 25, 30, it's like I gave up. I didn't give up. I stopped dreaming big. I stopped dreaming big.
Well, not to put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming that with the gravity of the news that you received and then making the decision to proceed with the beach experience and the coaching, you probably said, if I am going to choose this, I am going to dive in and get the most out of it, because there's that little draw that you're really sacrificing going back home to be with your family for this. And you couldn't bring your cousin back and you were already there. So you did that, but you probably applied yourself maybe even more, given that you had received that phone call, than you would have been if something that tragic hadn't just happened.
Oh, 100%. Because when I got there, I was a mess when I got there. And that's not typically how I would show up for things. So I was feeling really just discombobulated. And it was like I had a bit of an out of body experience. But then by day, I even remember the coach asking, about goals. And I remember the first 2 days I was writing down just your standard stuff, like get promoted by this date, make this much more money by this date. It was so superficial. But by day three, I think that's when things really turned around. And I decided that I wanted to do something different. And it's so just crazy to think about, because once I made that decision, it was done. So when I left there, I I hired that coach. She was the only person I knew that had an online business. I mean, I think she was well on her way. It was a multi six-figure business at the time. Now she's like multi seven figures. And she was the only person I knew that had an online business. So that was scalable, that was profitable. I mean, she was doing really well for herself. And so I hired her to be my business coach. As soon as I got home, I knew I wanted to do something different. I had no idea how I was going to get out of corporate. I mean, I went on that trip not thinking I wanted to start a business. And I came home with having made the decision, like, it's done. But I didn't know how I was going to get out of corporate.
Well, given that, if there's somebody watching right now who feels like they're made for more, or they've had thoughts about a business, but the whole thought is overwhelming, like where do you even start, especially if you don't know someone personally like you or I have already gone through that journey, what would you say to that person?
That was my biggest concern, is what do you do? What do you do? And so, I mean, I will tell you what I did. I hired a coach. I hired that coach, right? Well, I mean, that's without sounding self-serving, I would say book a call with me and we can talk about what it might look like for you, right? Because there are so many coaches. The great thing about right now, after COVID, is there's so many coaches that can help you, right? I would say the first thing I would say is download this PDF I'm going to give you to really define what your values are, right? And then when you know what your values are, align that to where your life is now. So if you're thinking your career, okay, well, does it align with your values? And if there's a total disconnect, you probably already know if there's a disconnect, right? If you're feeling like there's more. For me, I hired a coach because I know that I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anybody online. I did research kind of once I worked with that coach. So I worked with her for 3 months to define kind of what I wanted to do and what that would look like. But I still didn't know how I was going to exit corporate. I didn't know how to do that. But I knew that I wanted to build an online business. I knew I wanted it to be high ticket. I knew I wanted it to be like a little bit of a different model than what she had. So I needed to find another coach after that. And she helped me because she was connected to the whole coaching world. She helped me find like the right coach for me after working with her, which is why I would say if somebody's thinking about it, to reach out to you, Laurel. You have a big network. I have a big network. Reach out to either of us so we can help guide you to the, someone who can help you.
I always tell people, if you've got that feeling inside of you, just take the first step to inquire. It could be one of us. It could be looking online and contacting a coach or a mentor. Not that you have to join that person.
No,
just
of course not.
start to inquire. And then it's like when the student's ready, the teacher shows up. That's what happened. When you just start to inquire, then you'll learn about all these options and programs and mentors and masterminds. And then you can find someone who's already doing pretty close to what you want to do and network with them and follow their path. I also started with coaching and coaching program, both an individual coach and a group coaching program. I did both because nobody in my world was building online. They thought I was crazy. They said it's not safe to go out there and be authentic and post pictures of yourself and your kids on social media. And it's like, you know what? There it depends on who you are and what your circumstance is. And what I do is not for everybody, but for me, I found my groove and I realized I wanted to spend more time with my family and being able to grow my business online than running around having in-person meetings and having somebody else pick my kids up and this and that. So it's just take the first step, right? Book an info call for free. Just start reaching out and asking some questions. DM people that you're interested in on LinkedIn. You never know what they're going to say that's going to spark an interest, that's going to open a whole new door for you. But you have to be in motion. You can't just be a quiet observer. You have to take that first step.
Yeah, just the first step. I agree with you because it does feel overwhelming when you start. And and a lot of something that holds a lot of people back is just even the fear to reach out because they don't want other people to know necessarily. It's safer than you think is all I'm saying. Like
and they're also afraid they're going to feel like they're being sold something and they're not sure they're ready. And I think you and I both have the same experience. Most people who are building a business online are not pushy. We
No.
all want clients who are in alignment with our core values, with our
Yeah.
North Star. They're in alignment with us. And so it's just a matter of giving people the right information so that they can go on whatever their path is.
Yeah, and make informed
You know?
decisions. Like, I have no desire to work with people who aren't ready, or who just aren't ready. Because let's face it, we're not always ready, right? And
Mhm.
you and I both know that we meet our clients where they're at, right?
Mhm.
There have been lots of times where I've thought I might want to do something and I still haven't done it, because I'm not ready. And like you said, when you're ready, the opportunity shows up. Like, remember I said I didn't know how I was going to get out of corporate? Well, then I got let go from my job. and which
Mm.
at the time didn't feel great, but also it was exactly what I needed, because I
It
didn't
was the
know.
catalyst that launched you faster than you were willing to go
Because
initially.
I figured everything out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this coaching business. I'm going to go online. And the thing that was keeping me stuck was, how the heck am I getting out of corporate? Because I couldn't just give up my 6-figure salary to launch a business I knew nothing about.
Start
Right?
at zero.
Start at zero. Yeah. So I got let go from my company. I worked there for 10 years. I negotiated a great severance package. Welcome to Canada, kids. It's really fun here. People always ask me when I talk about my severance, can you do that? You can. And as a matter of fact, it's expected. It's expected. Every situation's different. Don't all DM me asking me about your severance. I'm not an HR professional. I just knew what to do for my own.
Well, that's awesome. Well, do you have any upcoming events you want to talk about? Or I know you're going to give
Sure.
us that
Yeah, I'm
one,
gonna
your core value document, which will be
I'll give you,
amazing.
it's a core values exercise. And what it does is it helps you determine what your core values are so that you can narrow it down and use that as your North Star. And I do have an academy. It's called the Executive to Expert Academy. That is a 12-week program that helps people launch a group coaching program. If that's something people are interested in, you can just go to my profile and get that. I can drop the link as well. And yeah, I mean, you can join that anytime, really. So if anybody's interested in learning about that and learning about what I do, and if that's not for you, that's cool too. I'm happy to talk to anybody really about, if anybody's interested in starting an online coaching business, I'm happy to talk to you about my experience and the experience of some other folks that I know.
Well, thank you so much. I love the impact that you're making, and I love the relationship that we have of just support and reaching out and sharing things that are working and frustrations of things that are not. And the online world is really such an amazing place. And then when you actually get to see each other in person, it's even better, right? But
And it's been so great getting to know you, Laurel. Every time I see you in my DMs and see that it's an audio message, I'm so happy. It makes my heart so happy to listen to hear your voice, to say, hey, just checking in. Happy New Year. It's been a minute. Let's talk.
everybody loves my audio voices, or you hate them because you have a regular JOB and you can't listen to them, and then you forget to listen to them. I get that all the time too. But I'm not doing it because necessarily I want people to hear my voice. I do 99% of my life on my phone, and I refuse to sit there and type. My brain, my hands, I use my voice on everything. I voice text, I voice message, I voice email. And again, technology is in my favor, right?
I love it. I love it.
Good.
Yeah. It's so, but I love
I
your
didn't
voice. Don't
I didn't
stop.
start my online business till I was in my late 50s, and I'm 61 now and just really starting to scale. So I identify with your client that's like, heck no, I'm not stopping, but she's getting more in alignment with where she is in life right now. And it just feels good to continue to help. There's a lot of people retiring from whatever they've been doing, or they're starting to empty nest at this age or whatever. And they don't want to sit in an easy chair, and play solitaire. They need some socialization, stimulation. They need to know they're still making a difference. And yes, we can volunteer in our local community and this and that, but people who've been very business minded, sometimes they need more than just that. And so that's why I'm so thrilled that there are so many people our age that are
Yeah.
doing really amazing things online.
Yeah, I love it. I love to see it too. And I'm so inspired by my client. She's 68. She's very proud of it. This is her third business, but she says it's the hardest because it's the one where you have to really, connect to yourself. It is a masterclass. Having a coaching business is a masterclass in personal development. So
it so is, because you can't separate the two. If you're going to help somebody move along in their business, you have to move along the mindset and the heart and the intuition. All of it goes, right?
Yeah.
You just really have to work on the whole package.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you for offering this core value document. I'm excited to go in. I think I know what my core values are, but I can't wait to do the document and see what it
Okay, I'm
ends up
excited.
uncovering.
I'm excited to hear. I'm
And
excited.
I will share it with you
to see where ours overlap, because I feel like there will be a few.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank you to everybody. Check back next week when we have another amazing guest. I love these stories. I find them inspiring. I hope everybody else is as well. I love what you're doing, why you're doing it. I just love everything about you. So thank you for spending this last half hour with us, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really, really fun.
Have a good rest of the week, everybody. Bye-bye.